Welcome to the Dignity Leadership Podcast. I'm Rich Levene, Chief Team Building Officer and founder of Dignity Leadership Consulting. I practice leadership using my Master's of Science degree in Leadership and Change and a Bachelor's of Arts degree in Sociology. I've examined how people work together my entire career. In this podcast series, I want to expose the lessons I've learned through work and life with the intent to encourage more people to learn, grow, and become better leaders. Together, we can create a world of dignity. So today on the show, we're going to talk sales. What organization cannot exist without sales? You got to have them, right? So in comes the ego, in come the attitudes, or not. So I'm sitting with the team that we've named the ATX Flyers. And this team is incredible. So we have a portion of about 50% of them. So in the room with me today, I've got Stephen Hughes. Welcome, Stephen.
Hey, Rich. Thanks for having me.
And then today on Zoom, I got the one and only Jack Bryant. What's up, Jack?
Hey, Rich. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And then we got the Mr. Tiger Woods golf sales pro, Mr. Mike Mullins.
What's up, Rich? Good to be here.
Hey, we're welcome. And you guys are a phenomenal team that came together that I've had the luck of. It's been a journey. So I've worked with you. I think I managed you for a tiny little bit, and then we had a bunch of changes, which we're going to get into. But we also cannot deny, I keep going back to the gold pot, the big well, and we've got Michael Ray Newman from Edge Global in the house.
Great to have you. What's up, brother?
So Michael helped me get started about leadership and training on the sales team a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And you brought in your training from Edge Global. I sent a sales team there. And what's really ironic and unique is the sales team that I sent you isn't the sales team that's in front of you.
No, thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
Can I say that?
Yeah, you can say that. But so let's get into it. And what we had was, we had this dynamic going. We had these salespeople. It's like, my God, it's my, me. And it's like, it was all siloed. And Steve, you're nodding your head yes. And you were part of that team, right? So you were on.
Yes.
You were on inside sales. You were on internet sales. You helped with a lot of different capacities, and we've moved you around. And we determined that sales wasn't the right spot for you, which we're going to get into.
Right.
He's a spark plug, baby. You can plug him in anywhere. He's ready to play.
Spark plug. That is a great analogy. Why did I not think of that earlier? But there's 5 things that I want to try to cover today on the podcast. So we got 30 minutes. We'll see if we can get it all covered. So number 1 is trust is bigger than production. And we talked about earlier, so that team that you had, that you coached for us first, Michael, They were all about production. And it wasn't they about production. It was me, I, my. How many cars, how many widgets, whatever it was. It was like they had to sell more than the person next to them. And it became a great big competition. And then it became egocentric. And it became difficult to manage. So we're going to get through how you can get on and move on to that. Number 2 thing I want to cover today is knowing and understanding the strengths of your team or of your people and how to best use them. And again, I'm going to go back to Stephen, because when I was overseeing Stephen and I was leading Stephen, we moved him around a lot until we found his happy place. And then once we got him in his happy place where he had his using his strengths, your eyes lit up, Steve. I remember the day you walked in and said, "Thank you." You remember that day?
I do. I really do. It was just, I was just ready. It just was one of those things that I've been through so many changes that I just kind of learned to roll with the punches and be excited about the new challenges that were put in front of me and just explore and see what I could do.
And one of those pieces we're going to get to in this podcast is attitude, right? So I'm willing. So anybody that's got a lot of skills or high producers, everybody wants to hire them, right? The first thing I look for when I go to hire somebody is attitude. Do they have a willingness to help another person out? Do they have a willingness to care for their teammate? So number 3 that I want to cover today is selfless people with can-do attitudes drive your sales process, right? It can't be the other way around. You can't let the salespeople drive the bus, because then you're in trouble. And they want to. You might let them think they can, but there's a couple different things. We're going to try to get into that. Number 4 I want to talk about too is change is going to happen. And you've got to be willing to adapt. So if anybody in the room is an expert at change or living through change, and Steve, I'm going to go back to you. It's you again. You've been there, done that, right?
several times. I mean, that's been my career, a lot of change.
Yes, you've made a career out of change. And if anybody's out there thinking that everything's going to stay the same, I encourage you, reach out to us. We'll get you in touch with Steve, and he can tell you all about change. But if you need to reach out to me, I can be found at dignityleadership.com on the World Wide Web. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But we're going to cover some more of that later. Just keep listening to the podcast. Number 5 thing I want to talk about today is understanding the value of having good teammates and how that makes your team successful. And that goes for any team. Sales team, ops team, accounting team, office team, HR team, whatever you got in your organization. So we're going to try to cover those things. And I'm going to go back to where we kind of led off when we started, and that was on the production side. You know, this team right here is not 3 I's on the sales team. This is 3 we's as part of a team. And they understand that there's other people that are part of them. And there's a Simon Sinek YouTube video. You can go out and watch. It's about 2.5 minutes long. And he talks about when he's worked with the Navy SEALs and how they actually pick who's going to be a Navy SEAL and who's not. They don't look for the best sharpshooter. They don't look for the best Army soldier. They look for the person that's obviously good at those things, but has high trust. And the way they break it down, if I remember right from the video, he says, do I trust you with my life? Do I trust you with my wife? And do I trust you with my money? And if you answer yes to all 3 of those, you have a chance to be a Navy SEAL. If you miss any of those, you don't. And that's when it comes into the production side, right? So you got all these producers, and let's talk about, a lot of people look at GE through I think it was the 90s, and Jack Welch was running them. Jack Welch always fired the bottom 10%. Everybody's like, oh, that's a great strategy. You get rid of the weak ones. But what's it do for trust? It destroys trust, right? If you can't produce, you can't be on my team. And then what's it create? Competition. And that competition's good, but if it gets abused, so you start taking competition, it just grows a little more.
Turns into cutthroat.
Yes, it does. Turns into cutthroat, backstabbing, politics, people picking up the phone, calling the head boss at the top of the organization saying, so-and-so won't do this. A lot of times it's more about, you got to be able to understand it's what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. All right, so let's talk to the sales team, because these are guys are why we're really here. So in your experiences, let's start off with you, Mike. In your experience, what makes a great sales team?
I would start with what, with us for sure is communication. I think is very important with us. As in none of us are scared to ask each other for something, and we all, whether the other person can do it or not, we know that person's going to do whatever they can to figure out how to get it done. I've always thought about this as our sales team, competition is there, but I think it's more so it's competing for us to drive each other to do good. And I think that comes from us we're all friends outside of, the actual workplace as well. So the caring part of it always carries over to the job part of it, which I think is a very important thing for a sales team. And third, I would think is, you kind of touched on it earlier, is just the attitude part of it. We all try to, and I think we all do try to, come in with a good attitude each and every day and figure out a way for us to be successful and know that when we walk into the next day, we have a plan to do the same thing. So, there's a line that my dad has always used, that he's a football coach, and it's attitude reflects leadership. And, if you see somebody else having a good attitude, that doesn't mean that they're your leader. It just means that, hey, they're trying to get it done. Why can't I too? So, which is, kind of a testament to you of the way that you've treated all of us, and gone about your job on a daily basis. So that's kind of where I would start with that.
No, that's perfect. Michael, you're done. What do you got to say?
No, I think you said 2 things that were really good there. First of all, the competition is good. You mentioned earlier, we don't compete. You have a competitive collaboration that you've created, Rich, and that's what Dignity Leadership has done. That's what I think when you bring. There's no mistake that these guys are here. I mean,
thank you.
But you set them up to have that environment where they can lean on each other, and it's not friendly competition is the right. I mean, I really think it's a competitive collaboration that these guys have had, and I think you said it really well.
Well, there's collaboration and cooperation. These guys do not cooperate. Okay, I mean this intentionally. These guys collaborate.
Yeah, I agree.
They figure out a way to work together. Like everybody could cooperate. So let's say that Steven has one way to do it, Mike has another way, and Jack has a third way. These guys will figure out what the best way is, and that's what's impressive. If you go into cooperation, what happens? Usually the dominant personality reigns, right? And on this team, I don't even know who the dominant
Hey,
personality
I want to
is.
give you something really good. What he just said there. Think about this. What he just said. He said, "You said it's not. What is it not? Cooperation.
Yeah, it's not cooperation.
Yeah, it's collaboration because
Absolutely.
cooperation, the dominant guy wins.
Yep.
Because the reason it is a collaboration because it is a standard that you guys have created. Now everybody has a different way of maybe getting there, but you're using the same process because you're living up to the standard that you've created. And that standard word is a powerful word. That's what you guys have created. That's why it's a collaboration.
And then I want to go back to what you said right when you started that, and you said there's a reason why these guys are here. Yeah, because they all bring a positive attitude and a willingness to work hard and learn while they're doing it. That's why they're here. They brought themselves to the table with that attitude. I didn't bring them to the table with that attitude. They already showed up knowing that they needed to have a positive attitude, which is what I think sets a lot of people apart. So that's one thing why I think these guys are exceptional. And then there's another piece too. The attitude, it's egos. And Jack, you and I have had a lot of conversation about egos, and you're one of the most, you're a super productive salesperson, but I don't want to put you in the production category because that breaks down trust. You were a very high trust person. You were trustworthy from the day I met you, but you're also humble. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? I mean, you're a salesperson, you're successful. Where's your ego?
Well, I think that I've worked with several sales people in the past who have huge egos, and to me, it takes away your ability to learn. It takes away your ability to move forward. And the great thing about this team is we're all willing to just drop our egos at the door and go to each other and listen to different perspectives and continue to learn and be a sponge. And I do that all the time. I mean, we all three have all of the whole team has a successful approach, and they all come from different perspectives. And I like to hear everyone's perspective and the way that they do things because they're all successful. We just do it differently. And I like that because in the field that we're in technology, every customer uses technology differently. And sometimes you need a different perspective and a different approach to really have that conversation with customers. And so I think that we are all willing to drop our egos at the door, go to each other for help, and do whatever it takes to make each other successful. Not to make me successful, but to make all of us successful. So, and it's something about, I've been on sales teams where everyone has a huge ego and everything that they do is right. And they don't want to learn anything. And I just think that it just limits you as a sales team. And we don't have that here. And I love that about this team.
That's pretty awesome. I think that's what makes y'all fly. And how did we come up with the name ATX Flyers anyhow? I think, wasn't that, one of you, was it you?
No, it was someone else, but I remember it was specifically talking about our ostentatious goal that we had, and if we did, we were going to wear PF flyers.
That's right. That's what I thought. That's what I think about when you say that.
And it just snowballed from there, right?
Yes.
You know what? And here's what's cool is you guys threw out this. I didn't come up with it. You all came up with it. This. We'll steal it from the book. I forget which one it is. The Big, Hairy, Audacious Goals, the BHAG. And you guys threw a ridiculous number out there. You know what? We never hit it, but you guys always kept trying to hit it and striving to hit it. And lo and behold, one day we had a great day. Next thing you know, there's pictures of flyers going around in our texting group. And that's the other cool thing is we've got our own little texting group. It's called ATX Flyers. And every weekend, weekends we're talking about it. So you mentioned earlier being friends outside of work. But you guys all, if I understand right, you guys all met at work and became friends as a result of working together, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wasn't the other way around. And a lot of times that doesn't happen. So that's an attribute to you guys just showing up with the right attitudes.
Yeah, especially on the sales team, like how often you see them that, I texted the other member of our sales team just a while ago, just to, see how her weekend was going and what she was doing. Like how often you have that with, three people that have their own budget and are trying to strive to get something for their own good to wonder what the other one's doing on the weekend. So, I called Jack first whenever I was having a problem getting in. I mean, I think it's a testament to all three of us to be able to know that we can do that, and it doesn't have to be Monday through Friday with us.
Absolutely.
One of the things I've seen about the team is that, yes, there is competition, but there's also when someone's having difficulty, everyone drops that and they help the other person to make and achieve their goals in their tasks that they were working on. Everyone had each other's back. Yes, there was competition, but it wasn't, cutthroat or anything like that. It was the collaboration. That's really what it was. Everyone working together to make it work.
Yeah, so there definitely is competition with you all, but it's healthy competition, and you guys all understand what the limitations are, how to keep it in check without bringing in ego and then ruining. You guys got a great thing going, and nobody wants to ruin it, which is pretty incredible. But
It's competition through encouragement.
Yes, it is. Well, yeah, you guys, you know what, and you always encourage the other one to you push them to do a little harder, and you're willing to help them out. And Jack, you've got a great story too about. I remember one time we're talking about this other salesperson that actually won the 2020 Salesperson of the Year last year. Totally kicked butt, and she absolutely does not even want any recognition for it because she feels like she's part of a team. And Jack, you can tell us a little more, but didn't you just stop hitting the road and go and start helping getting images and other things done?
Yeah, we were shorthanded at the time, and one of our customers required a little more from us. And
a little more love.
Washed and vac his cars, and so we didn't have a lot of people to do that. So I asked you to go get me a water hose and a bucket and trash can, and I cleaned out cars and washed them, and then I inspected them and put them on the online, and the rest was history. So I did that for months, and I think that if we're, her success is a result of a team effort, and she sees that, and I see that, and it didn't matter what contribution you make as long as we are successful. And I was thrilled to death that she got that, and she absolutely deserved it. So, we all contributed to that, and it was just it's a great way to be a part of it.
Yeah, and all this sales success can happen without a great support team or great operations team. And we got Steven in the room. And we're going to turn it over to you, Steven, and where you fit in on this team, because we've had you. Let's hear your journey. You've been all over the place on this team, and now you're taking names, kicking butt, and all those other things.
Yeah, I've had so many different roles, and it's been good because I've learned a lot about the organization from doing, like you said, sales, both physical and online, doing IT work, and now doing operations. So I got to see this whole operation through every department that I've worked in, and it's helped me to be able to help other people within the business to understand some of the things they may not understand about another department. And one of the people forget that your fellow coworkers are customers as well. So you've got to not only be able to help the customer outside, you got to help them inside as well.
So you're nodding there, Michael. What's up?
Yeah, I mean, he nailed it. Well, we teach in Edge Global, you have two customers. You have your internal customer and you have your external. External is important, but the most important is your internal and how you understand how you treat each other, because your external customers see how that goes and how that works. And then when they see you doing that, that bleeds over to your external customer, the way that your internal customers treat your external customers. That's really powerful.
Yeah, because if you can't treat your internal customers right, you're not going to be able to do it for the outside.
And they see it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, they see it. So, you good? Move
I'm
on?
good,
You're
yeah.
Move on. All right. So, another thing I want to jump over to, and Mike, I want to pick your brain on this one because you brought it up when we were preparing and talking about this. And this is, the change. We've been through a couple of reorganizations. We've reformulated what the teams look like. We've reformulated the business model. I mean, how do you do it?
Great question.
It's I'm not going to say it hasn't been tough, but I'm going to say that I would say, leaning back on, there's obviously people on our team that have done this and had a little more experience than I have when I started to, even to now. And I'll never think I have more than somebody else. But I think me, individually, just be saying that I've been through 4 name changes within the organization since I started in 2019. So I've just learned to, I guess, adapt, but also when I say I was knowing that I had anybody on our team that I could lean on to call, text, email anytime to figure it out, ask the questions that, I think I've mentioned this to you before, the hard questions usually have the right answer. And, you can't feel stupid doing that. But, we went from 3 different models on this throughout the reorganizations of going from physical to, physical and digital to now it's all digital. And I think there's certain things from each of those that are carried over that we've had to learn, and we've learned it all together. But I think it's just, I look at it as we're like a sprint relay team in track, a really good one that probably never loses, to the extent of you can put any 4 of us or, however many people you have on your team at any one of those legs, and we know that we're going to cross the finish line first, and that's all that matters. So that's where I would.
And I think to that, it goes back to your attitude, right? You guys come in with a positive, winning attitude, which carries over in all things you do. So anytime somebody throws a challenge at you, I mean, you got 2 choices, right, in life. You can either let the challenge whip you in the butt and you can pout and try to, oh, poor me. Or you can go the other side and say, all right, so here's another challenge. Here's another opportunity for me to shine and show them what I can do. And you guys always come out on top. I mean, you talk about the rodeo, right? 8-second rodeo. There isn't a bull you guys haven't beat. You guys have got them all. You guys have tied them all up. You've ridden them all. You've done all those things, which is pretty cool. Which means it's probably time for you for having the rodeo beer, isn't it, Michael?
That's right. Sign me up.
Sign me up.
All right.
So, yeah, we've got all these. Go ahead, Jack.
I think
I'm sorry.
our backgrounds helped with these changes, because I came from the digital space and all of my teammates came from the physical space. And so I think that I was never, ever afraid to ask about the physical space. I didn't know a lot about it, and I learned a ton about it through my teammates. And that's where you drop your ego at the door and you go in and you be a sponge and you learn and you understand it. And I would have never made it without my teammates. And so I think our backgrounds helped out with that. Like, that's why I said earlier, we all have different approaches, and it's because of our backgrounds and our perspectives. And so I think that's what I meant earlier when I said you drop your ego at the door and you were able to learn and you were able to be a sponge and you're not too proud to ask for help. And I think that's a huge testament to this team, because we've all done that with each other.
For sure.
Yeah, when you say you're not too proud to help, one of the things when we were preparing today to do this podcast, you guys had brought up a story, Jack, that I want you to tell you. It was about Steven, you guys. I mean, you guys wear this poor man out. How many times in a day do you call this guy? But yet every time he ends up answering the phone. But you guys can tell the story way better than I can.
Oh, I talk to Steve more than sometimes I talk to my wife on the phone. I mean, there were times I called him 4 or 5 times a day, and I was thinking, if he was too busy and was unable to pick up my call, I was thinking to myself, I don't blame him. I probably wouldn't pick it up either. I've called him 5 times already. So, but he always picks it up, or he always calls back, and he always helps. And I think we always call Steve the Superman out there, because he knows it all.
Thanks, Jack.
Yeah, and I think that we call him because in the back of our minds, we think or we know that Steve can get anything done. So we're like, okay, why not just go to the main source of what we need done? And, that's a testament to him of being able to learn all the things that he's had to and the things he's gone through to us have the confidence and, the trust that Steve can help us and or do what we need to do. So it's very appreciative from our whole team for sure.
So Steve, how do you manage on the operations side? I mean, you've got to have a great team around you, right? Because you can't if you answer every call from these guys.
How you working, bro?
How many hours do you have in a day?
86,400 seconds in a day.
And how many do you have in a day? Same?
Yeah, I've got the same.
So how do you get it done?
You got to rely on your team. Absolutely. You have to have like you said, first thing has got to be trust. And they got to trust you, because if they don't trust you, you're not going to be able to get trust in them. But you just got to know that they're going to get done what they need to get done. And if they don't know how to do it, that they feel that comfortable coming to you to ask you or ask for help. And that's the way I personally helped, our sales team, Mike and Jack and Lacey, just trying to be there, because I know that they have a job that they're trying to accomplish. And I just wanted to be their support person and help them get through all the challenges that they had. So again, yeah, trust, attitude, very big, very big.
So we got 5 minutes left here? 4 minutes? 4, 5, something like that. Kevin, he's starting to give me the cutthroat looks like, I hate it when this happens. But so let's start working on closing it out. So I don't know who wants to go first, but anybody wants to jump in. In your opinion, we got to tell these people, right? It's part of the podcast. What makes a great sales team? So who wants to tackle this first? What's the number one thing on your list?
Trust.
Trust.
Damn, they all hit it. Man, you've been drinking the Kool-Aid way too long. And what happens if you break down trust?
My number one would be communication.
Would be communication? Why?
Yep. I think the communication part of it builds into the trust of everybody, and I think that I think you need to have that communication of knowing what's being said, knowing what needs to be done, knowing who you can call when, and relying on those people that they will either get it done or find or figure out how to help you out. I think that over time that builds the trust, and then once you have that trust, I think then you don't ever have to worry about anything. You just know that you've got both of those, and I think they both kind of mold together for sure.
All right. So that is very well said. So let's paint a picture for our listeners. Let's just pretend that Mike Mullins has an ego, that Mike Mullins just very well may be the biggest butt in the room. And let's say he calls you up, Steve, and needs you to help you. What are you going to do?
I might not answer the phone call.
Exactly.
That's the one you don't
Bingo.
answer.
That's right.
But
we know that's
call
not,
Jack.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, you just called me.
But so where I'm going with this is that you guys have built up that trust with each other through communication. You respond, you help, you collaborate, you cooperate, you do all these things we've been talking about. And Mike just mentioned it, hey, when I got this problem, I call up this person. He's identified on his paper, on his list or whatever, what strengths people have. He's built trust up in him so that when he calls you, Stephen, he's like, Stephen, I need some help with this. I've watched you, I've seen you miss conference calls, Zoom calls, the unimportant ones, to go help and figure out how we're going to make another sale, right? I've seen you do it.
Yeah, I definitely have. I've just whatever I can to help them. They're out in the field, and they don't necessarily have all the resources readily available to them. They need that assistance, and when they're out there trying to make a sale, it's make or break time, and they need response fast.
And I'm going to say that this reciprocates too, because there have been times when we've sold bad widgets, and the widget's not what we promised, and we have to have a difficult conversation with the widget buyer. And I've seen you pick up the phone and call Jack or Mike and say, hey, I need some help. We produced a bad widget. Can you go talk to this customer? And these two, without fail, every time say, absolutely, we'll go have that. I'll talk to him about that.
Yes, definitely.
So it's a two-way street, right? In order for
yes.
In order for you to get what you want, you have to help them get what they want, and vice versa. I'm stealing another one of your lines, Michael Ray.
Yeah. That's right.
So another thing, you're talking about a sales process. We're getting up to the end. People are probably really confused. We got a show on sales, right? And I got Michael Ray Newman, Edge Global, sitting right here, and you're on Dignity Leadership Podcast. I'm
glad to be here,
I'm
brother.
out selling leadership, and you're out selling leadership. But we got cooperation going on.
Oh, absolutely.
Heck yeah.
I want to just two things I've heard over and over again, and it's talking about attitude and ego. I've heard that. And you're talking about a positive attitude. You guys really, I would like for you guys to look through it through a different lens, your listeners here, because you bring this in everything you do, Rich, when it talks to attitude. it's not just a positive attitude, because it kind of gets in my saddle nowadays when I hear somebody say, "Oh man, all you need is positive attitude. You can do anything in the world is positive attitude." I'm like, I'm gonna tell you something right now. That ain't true at all. Because I don't care how positive I am. If I jumped in the MMA ring with a professional fighter, I'm positive I'll get my butt kicked.
I'm positive you will too.
I will get my ace kicked.
You fight like a girl.
Yeah, I know it. And
Oh wait, I've seen some of them. They're badass.
yeah, I know it. I'm scared of that. But it's the right attitude you guys have. So sometimes it's a determined attitude. Go get me a wash bucket and a water hose, brother. We got to get this done. Sometimes it's okay to be upset and play mad.
Yeah.
It's okay to play mad, but it is a solution-driven attitude that this team has.
Solving problems.
And that's exactly right. That's number one, okay? An ego. Every single one of you boys, I don't care what you're saying, you got an ego. The reason you have been successful in your life is because you have an ego. What you're also talking about is trust. And you guys have one thing that a lot of these sales teams and a lot of these teams that have dissension and lack trust, you have character. And ego and character is what the character is what keeps your ego in place. And you guys have a high character, and you hold yourself to a higher standard. And you have an ego because you want to be successful, but you also want to. The rising tide raises all boats. I'll bring that back up one more time. And because you guys believe in that, you believe in each other. So I just want to tell you how grateful I am to be a part of just this little conversation. And I'm really proud of Rich, what you've done. I'm proud of all you boys and what y'all have done. And I just thank you guys for letting me sit in on it.
Well, it's an honor to have you in the room because, after all, you taught me what leadership's all about.
You always had it, brother.
It takes a leader to bring it out of other people. And in closing this out, I think that's what all these guys do on this team is they bring the best out of each other.
Absolutely.
It's never too late to do the right thing, and these guys are always willing to help each other out. But with that, I'm getting the chop it signal, the cutoff signal from Kevin E., the Monster Millennial. Thanks for joining us today on our leadership journey and talking sales. I appreciate all these guys. I appreciate you, Stephen, Jack, Michael. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Rich.
If you're looking for some more leadership
Appreciate
guidance, please reach out to me on dignity-leadership.com on the World Wide Web, or Dignity Leadership Consulting on Facebook, Dignity Leadership, all one word, on Instagram, or @DLC with Rich on Twitter. Keep paddling.